So, welcome to the GCA conference. You just held a speech. What did you talk about? Could you sum your topic up for our viewers?
Well, my topic was digital sovereignty. What does it mean? Is it a questionable item or not? It was based upon the experience of the publishing of the Snowden papers. So this rose a question in the German ICT industry. Do we even have a capacity to secure Germany with regards to cyber attacks, espionage, etc.? We don't have the know-how. We don't have it right now. We had it in the past 20 years ago, but the majority of all the hardware and software items which are necessary for securing a country are now the pattern of the US and the Chinese companies and manufacturers. So when we discuss it from a political side, from a business side, do we have the capacity of building the necessary components? We discovered that there are so many aspects behind this terminology, digital sovereignty, is that we said, well, Mike Friesen and me, we just said, well, let's publish a book on it. Let's collect all the different aspects from a political, from a business, from a technical side, from a civil society side, from legal issues, etc. Then we contacted a broad band of members of parliament here in Germany, of business representatives and of scientific people in order to get their opinion on what they mean, what their contribution would be to the approach of digital sovereignty. It was an interesting discussion because from the political side, the members of parliament, I wrote a memo to them. They contributed with a group with very interesting articles on it. The business side is divided in two groups. That's the European business, which said, well, we should implement something, a think tank, etc., which takes over this task, this challenge. And the US group said, well, we don't need it. It's over. It's a kind of industry policy. For them, it's a kind of their business. But we said, well, we're summarizing all these aspects. And the book will be published, I think, in fall. We will have the e-book version, and the printer version later, end of this year.
Okay, so it's a very interesting topic. And where do you see the problem, or what is the conclusion of all this research?
Well, one of the largest challenge is to discuss with people, is it really necessary or not to have a kind of sovereignty? Because for my feeling, that's my personal position, is sovereignty means that you are independent. Otherwise you are, there's a saying in Germany, if you don't, which when I translate it doesn't give the sense exactly, wer nicht handelt, wird behandelt. If you don't act, you will be treated. So we said, if we want to maintain this level of welfare we have in Germany, we have in Europe, then we have to regain at least a part of our sovereignty, of our independence, against those two blocs in the United States and in China. It's not anti-US, it's not anti-Chinese, it's part of strengthening yourself. And to avoid that it's a balance for us in Germany to avoid that it's a kind of reshaping old nationalistic forms that we don't want. We want to have a European perspective, because when I just look on the comments of the speaker from the European Commission, all the aspects of the European Commission are consumer-oriented, but not industry-oriented. And if we don't have a strong industry in Europe, who pays the salaries for the people? Who earns the money? if we consumer is very necessary, but on the other side we have to earn money, and this we don't earn with consumer products. We have to manufacture them, we have to produce them, and therefore we need this. We need the competence, the ICT competence, and we need the security that all this data, which is behind, are not used for criminal activities if it's organized by a state or by a criminal organization. Very simple.
So we are all very curious to see where it's going to go in the future. So as it is your first time here at the GCA, what do you think about it? What are your impressions of it?
Well, my first impression, it's based upon the experience yesterday evening. It was very positive to see the international approach. I was working in a large international business organization a long time ago, a little bit the silver server aged person. Working in an international group always has a very interesting, gives you an interesting experience. That there are so many perspectives on how things are treated, managed, they are welcomed or neglected. So this is important to see the variety of opinions, of positions. And this was a very interesting approach yesterday evening when I had the first discussions with people. Hey, where are you from? It's a very frank, a very open way, I found. When this is something, when I see the Americans have a strong impact here. And that's what I always like. Hey, where are you folks from when you're in the United States? It's not that reserved, that distance-oriented like we are.
Yeah. So we are all very glad that there's the possibility of having a conference like this. Is there anyone particular you are really looking forward to, or any talk you definitely want to hear?
Well, I'm I'm expecting the roundtable discussion this evening with the Frankfurter Allgemeine von Blumenkrom. He's a very popular guy, and it was a pity that Christoph Käse couldn't join us for any longer. I know him since a lot of years, and I've bought his book on Silicon Valley, the German edition, and I've used it as a present to all my customers to say, well, take it, read it. It gives you a kind of the view of the culture which is in front of us. You have to understand it, that there is a new culture which is coming to us. And I'm looking on the discussion this evening. I'm waiting for it. It'll be very interesting.
Oh, it's surely going to be very interesting. Many interesting people here. So thank you very much for your time. Enjoy dinner now.
It was a pleasure, and good luck.
Thank you very much.